there for his grace, wit, and ready conversation. Kant entered the university of his native city at the age of 16 and graduated from it 6 years later. Being unable to secure an academic position, he took work as a private tutor in various households. It was not until the age of 31 that he obtained a post at the university as private docent, an unsalaried employment that conferred the privilege of giving public lectures and the chance of securing a meager reward through private tuition. By then, Kant had already published works on dynamics and mathematics. He had also acquired, through the connections that his position as private tutor made available, the social ease that was to earn him the title of Der schöne Magister. Königsberg was then a city of some dignity, with 50,000 inhabitants and an important garrison. As a seaport serving the trading interests of Eastern Prussia, it contained a bustling and variegated population, including Dutch, English, Poles, and Russians. The university, founded in 1544 as the Collegium Albertinum, was a cultural center of some importance, although so much sunk in provincial obscurity by the mid-18th century that Frederick the Great, visiting the city as crown prince in 1739, described it as better suited to the training of bears than to becoming a theater of the sciences. Frederick ascended the throne the following year, and did his best to spread into this corner of his kingdom the high culture and intellectual toleration that characterized his reign. Kant, who had already determined to value truth and duty above all things, was therefore fortunate to find that his university offered no major impediments to the pursuit of either. It was perhaps this, as much as his passionate attachment to his birthplace, that prompted him to wait so long for his first appointment, and to continue waiting thereafter for another 15 years before being granted the professorship that he desired. During this period, Kant several times refused offers from other German universities, and continued conscientiously to deliver, in the house where he lodged, the lectures that established his reputation. His intellectual labors were devoted mainly to mathematics and physics, and at the age of 31 he published a treatise on the origin of the universe that contained the first formulation of the nebular hypothesis. His duties required him, however, to lecture on a wide variety of subjects, including physical geography, about which he became, perhaps because of his reluctance to travel, an acknowledged authority, and, in the opinion of one Count Purgstall, who admired the philosopher greatly, a conversational bore. It is to some extent by chance that Kant's professorship was in metaphysics and logic, rather than in mathematics or natural science. From this point in his career, however, Kant devoted his energies entirely to philosophy, rehearsing in his lectures the thoughts that he was to publish 10 years later in works that earned him a reputation as the greatest luminary in Germany. The philosopher J.G. Hamann records that it was necessary to arrive in Kant's lecture room at 6 in the morning, 1 hour before the professor was due to appear, in order to obtain a place. And Kant's pupil Jachmann has this to say of the performance: Kant had a peculiarly skillful method of asserting and defining metaphysical concepts, which consisted, to all appearances, in carrying out his inquiries in front of his audience, as though he himself had just begun to consider the question, gradually adding fresh determining concepts, improving bit by bit on previously established explanations, and finally arriving at a definitive conclusion of his treatment of the subject, which he had thoroughly examined from every angle, having given the completely attentive listener not only a knowledge of the subject, but also an object lesson in methodical thought. And in a letter to a friend, the same writer speaks of Kant's lectures on ethics. In these he ceased to be merely a speculative philosopher and became